You know that moment when you realize one choice can ruin everything? That's where I was, standing in my family's living room, watching my mom's face crumple as she learned the truth. I was 20, a college kid with big dreams and a bigger secret. Her name was Claire, 42, my mom's best friend since high school. She was the kind of woman who made you forget how to breathe, sharp, elegant, with eyes that saw right through you. Her dark hair fell in soft waves, and her smile had this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room. And me? I was the idiot who fell for her. Hard. I wasn't supposed to feel this way, not about her, not about someone who'd been at every family barbecue, every birthday, every Christmas since I was a kid. But I did, and that feeling, it was like a fire I couldn't put out. It started innocently enough. A glance that lingered too long at a summer barbecue, the sun setting behind her, casting this glow that made her look unreal. A laugh that felt like it was just for me, even in a crowded backyard. I told myself it was nothing, just a kid noticing a beautiful woman. But one night, one reckless moment, we crossed a line we couldn't uncross. Her lips on mine, the world falling away, it was electric, forbidden, and I was hooked. My heart pounded so loud I thought it would wake the whole house. But secrets like that don't stay buried. They fester. They burn. And when they finally spill out, they destroy everything in their path. I didn't know it then, but that kiss was the match that would set my life ablaze. How do you choose between a love that consumes you and the family you've sworn to protect? I didn't know then, but I was about to find out. This isn't just a story about an affair. It's about what happens when you let desire blind you, when you think you're invincible, and when the people you love most pay the price for your mistakes. By the time you hear the end of this, you'll wonder, would you have done the same? Or would you have walked away before it was too late? Stick with me, because this story, this raw, messy truth, will hit you where it hurts. It's not just about me and Claire. It's about the lies we tell ourselves, the lines we cross, and the wreckage we leave behind. Ready to feel something? Let's go. I'm Jake, and I grew up in a small town outside Chicago, the kind of place where everyone knows your business, where secrets don't stay secret for long. My family was tight: mom, dad, my little sister Lily, and me. We weren't perfect, but we were solid. Mom was the glue, always hosting barbecues, always laughing with her best friend, Claire, who'd been around since I was a kid. Claire was different. She wasn't like the other moms in our neighborhood, with their minivans and PTA meetings. She didn't have kids, didn't have a husband, just this quiet confidence that made her magnetic. She'd show up to our house in these tailored dresses, her dark hair always perfect, her voice low and warm, like she was sharing a secret just with you. I was 15 when I first noticed how she carried herself, how her laugh seemed to light up the room. But I was just a kid then, right? Nothing to it. Just a teenager with a crush I'd never act on. Fast forward to the summer after my sophomore year of college. I'm 20, home for the break, working odd jobs at a local hardware store and trying to figure out who I am. Claire was still around, still mom's right-hand woman, still showing up to our house with that same effortless charm. But something had shifted. I wasn't a kid anymore, and she noticed. It started small, her asking about my classes, her hand brushing mine when she passed me a drink at one of mom's parties. I'd catch her watching me, her eyes lingering just a second too long, and my pulse would kick up a notch. I'd be lying if I said I didn't like it. I'd be lying if I said I didn't start looking for her at every gathering, didn't start hoping she'd be there. That summer, our house was chaos. Dad was working late, stressed about some big project at his job, coming home with bags under his eyes and a short temper. Mom was distracted, planning some massive community event, a fundraiser for the local library that had her on the phone for hours. Lily was 16, glued to her phone, sneaking out to hang with her friends, leaving me to navigate the house alone. I felt like I was drifting, invisible, like I didn't quite belong anywhere. But Claire? She saw me. She'd ask me questions no one else bothered to, like what I wanted to do with my life, what scared me, what kept me up at night. She listened, really listened, and it made me feel important. One night, after everyone else had gone to bed, we were cleaning up the kitchen from one of Mom's barbecues. Just the two of us, the house quiet except for the hum of the fridge. She poured me a glass of wine. Mom would have freaked if she knew, and we sat at the counter, talking. Really talking. About life, about dreams, about feeling stuck in a world that expects you to have it all figured out. Her voice was like a current, pulling me in, and I could feel the air between us changing, getting heavier. I don't know who leaned in first, maybe it was me, maybe it was her, but when our lips met, it was like the world stopped. My heart was pounding, my hands shaking, but I didn't pull away. Neither did she. That kiss was soft at first, tentative, like we both knew we were crossing a line. Then it deepened, and for a moment, nothing else existed. Just her, me, and this thing we'd both been pretending wasn't there. That kiss was the beginning, but it was also the end of everything I thought I knew. I should have stopped it right there. I should have walked away, gone to bed, pretended it never happened. But I didn't. And that's where the trouble started. You ever feel something so intense it scares you? That's what this was. I was falling, and I didn't care where I'd land. I didn't think about Mom, about Dad, about Lily. I didn't think about the fact that Claire was 42, that she was Mom's best friend, that this could ruin everything. All I could think about was her scent, her touch, the way she made me feel like I was enough. The weeks after that kiss were a blur of stolen moments. Claire and I texted constantly, using an app that deleted messages after they were read, like we were spies in some forbidden game. We'd meet in secret, her car parked behind the old library, the park at dusk when no one was around, a coffee shop an hour away where no one knew us. Every time I saw her, it was like I was alive for the first time. She wasn't just my mom's friend anymore, she was this woman who got me, who made me feel like I could be more than just Jake from the suburbs. We'd talk for hours about her life, her regrets, the way she felt trapped in her perfect, polished existence. I told her things I'd never told anyone, about how I felt like I was failing at college, at life, at being the son my parents wanted. She listened, her hand on mine, and it was like she was the only person who saw the real me. But every high came with a low. The guilt was like a knife in my chest, twisting every time I sat at dinner with my family. I'd laugh with Lily about some dumb meme, listen to Mom talk about her fundraiser, nod at Dad's complaints about work, all while my phone buzzed in my pocket with a message from Claire. I was living two lives, and the weight of it was crushing me. I'd lie awake at night, replaying our moments together, hating myself for wanting more. The forbidden part? It wasn't just the age gap, though that was enough to raise eyebrows. It was the betrayal. Claire wasn't just some random woman, she was Mom's confidant, the one who'd been there through Dad's layoffs, through Lily's birth, through every family milestone. She'd been at our table for Thanksgiving, helped Mom through her worst days, been the one Mom trusted most. If anyone found out, it wouldn't just be awkward. It would destroy Mom. It would destroy all of us. And yet, I couldn't stop. Claire would talk about leaving her life behind, about us running away together, starting fresh somewhere new. A new city, a new life, just us. I'd let myself imagine it, waking up next to her, no secrets, no guilt. But deep down, I knew it was a fantasy. She was 42, with a career, a house, a life she'd built. I was a kid with a dorm room, a part-time job, and a backpack full of textbooks. What was I thinking? That we'd just disappear and everything would be fine? That Mom would forgive me, that Dad would understand, that Lily wouldn't hate me? The more I thought about it, the more I realized how impossible it was. But that didn't stop me from wanting it. The suspense kicked into high gear one night when Lily almost caught us. Claire had come over to help with Mom's event planning, but we'd snuck into the garage for a moment alone. We were reckless, too caught up in each other to hear the door creak. I had my hand on her waist, her lips brushing my ear, when Lily walked in, looking for her bike. She froze, her eyes wide, and I felt my stomach drop. I don't know exactly what she saw in my hand, the way we jumped apart, the guilt written all over our faces, but her expression changed, like she'd seen a ghost. She didn't say anything, just turned and left, the door slamming behind her. That night, she barely looked at me at dinner, her fork scraping her plate in silence. I was terrified she'd tell Mom, but she didn't. Not yet. That silence? It was worse than a confrontation. It was like a countdown to disaster, ticking louder every day. Claire started pushing for more. She wanted us to be open, to tell the world, to stop hiding. I'd laugh it off, make some joke about how we'd need a lawyer first, but inside, I was panicking. How do you tell your mom you're in love with her best friend? How do you explain that to your dad, who already thought I was a screw-up for switching majors twice? The more Claire pushed, the more I pulled back. I started avoiding her texts, skipping our meetups, telling myself I needed space to think. But that only made her more desperate. One night, she showed up at my job, her eyes wild, her voice shaking. "Jake, we need to talk," she said, standing by the cash register as my coworker pretended not to notice. "You can't just shut me out." I could see it in her face, she wasn't going to let this go. And that's when I realized, this wasn't just about us anymore. It was about control, about obsession, about a truth I wasn't ready to face. I tried to keep things normal at home, but it was like walking on glass. Mom noticed I was off, kept asking if I was okay, if something was wrong. I'd lie, say it was just school stress, but I could tell she didn't buy it. Dad was barely around, working late, avoiding the tension that hung over the house like a fog. Lily was the worst, she'd stopped talking to me altogether, her eyes cold whenever I tried to joke with her. I knew she knew something, but I didn't know how much. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, for her to tell Mom, for everything to explode. Every creak of the floorboards, every time Mom's phone rang, I thought, this is it. This is when they find out, the turning point came at Mom's big event, a community fundraiser at our house, the one she'd been planning for months. The backyard was packed with neighbors, string lights twinkling, tables covered in food and drinks. Claire was there, of course, all smiles with Mom, helping set up like nothing was wrong. But her eyes kept finding me, sharp and searching, and I felt like I was suffocating. I was a wreck, dodging her, dodging Lily's suspicious glares, trying to act normal while my heart raced. Then, during a quiet moment when most of the guests were distracted, Claire pulled me into the backyard, behind the old oak tree where no one could see us. "We can't keep doing this," she said, her voice breaking, her hands gripping mine. "I love you, Jake. I'll leave everything for you, my job, my life here, everything." My heart stopped. Love? Was that what this was? Or was it just the thrill of something forbidden, something dangerous? I opened my mouth to answer, to tell her I didn't know, to beg her to stop, but before I could, I heard a gasp. Mom was standing there, her face pale, her wine glass shaking in her hand. She'd heard everything. The fallout was immediate and brutal. Mom didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just looked at me like I was a stranger, her eyes empty, like something inside her had broken. Then she turned and walked back inside, her steps slow, like she was carrying the weight of the world. Claire tried to follow her, calling her name, but I grabbed her arm. "Don't," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "You'll make it worse." But what could be worse than this? The party went on, people laughing and chatting, oblivious to the bomb that had just gone off in our family. I stood there, frozen, my mind racing. How did we get here? How did I let this happen? I wanted to run after Mom, to explain, to beg for forgiveness, but what could I say? That I didn't mean it? That it was a mistake? It wasn't. I'd chosen this every step of the way. I found Lily in her room later that night, scrolling on her phone, but her eyes were red, her cheeks streaked with tears. "Did you know?" I asked, my voice shaking. She nodded, not looking at me. "I saw you weeks ago, in the garage." I didn't want to believe it. That hit harder than anything. My little sister, the one I'd always protected, the one who'd come to me with her secrets, had been carrying mine, too. She'd seen me betray Mom, betray all of us, and she'd kept it inside, hoping it wasn't true. I wanted to hug her, to tell her I was sorry, but she pulled away when I reached for her. "Just leave me alone, Jake," she said, and the way she said my name, like it hurt her, cut me to the bone. I tried talking to Mom the next day, but she wouldn't look at me. I found her in the kitchen, staring out the window, her coffee untouched. "Mom, I'm sorry," I started, but she cut me off. "How could you?" she whispered, her voice raw, like she'd been crying all night. "She's my best friend, Jake. My best friend." The pain in her eyes was worse than any yelling. It was like I'd taken something from her, something she could never get back. Dad was worse. He didn't say much, just stared at me across the dining table, his jaw tight, like I'd betrayed him personally. "You're my son," he said finally, his voice low. "How could you do this to us?" I didn't have an answer. I didn't have anything. The house felt like a pressure cooker after that, every conversation clipped, every glance loaded with unspoken accusations. Claire kept texting, begging me to meet her, to explain, to fix it. She left voicemails, her voice breaking, saying she didn't mean to hurt anyone, that she just wanted to be with me. But I couldn't face her. I was drowning in guilt, in shame, in the realization that I'd torched my family for something I wasn't even sure I wanted anymore. I'd see Mom's face in my mind, that moment in the backyard, and it was like a punch to the gut every time. I'd see Lily's red eyes, hear Dad's quiet anger, and I'd hate myself more with every passing day. Weeks passed, and the tension didn't ease. Mom stopped talking to Claire entirely, cutting her out like she'd never existed. She didn't answer Claire's calls, didn't respond to her texts. It was like 20 years of friendship had vanished overnight. Claire, desperate, started showing up at the house, knocking on the door when she knew Mom wasn't home, leaving notes that I found crumpled in the trash. "Please, Jake," one of them said. "We can fix this. I love you." I didn't know what to do with that. Love? Was it love when it hurt everyone around you? Was it love when it left you feeling like this? One night, I overheard Mom and Dad fighting, something they never did in front of us. I was in my room, trying to study, but their voices carried through the walls. "He's your son, too," Mom said, her voice sharp with pain. "How do we fix this? How do we go back?" Dad's reply was quiet, but it cut deep. "I don't know if we can." I sat there, my textbook open, my hands shaking. This wasn't just about Mom and Claire. It was about all of us, me, Lily, Dad, the whole family, fractured because of my choices. I'd done this. I'd broken us. I started pulling away from everyone. I'd go to class, come home, lock myself in my room. I stopped going to Mom's barbecues, stopped joking with Lily, stopped trying to talk to Dad. But the memories of Claire were everywhere, her laugh, her touch, the way she made me feel like I was enough. I hated myself for missing her, but I did. I'd lie awake at night, replaying our moments together, wondering if I'd made a mistake, if I should have fought for her. One night, I broke and called her. We met at a diner, far from home, the kind of place with cracked vinyl seats and coffee that tasted like regret. She looked tired, older, like the weight of this was crushing her, too. Her hair was pulled back, her eyes red, and for the first time, I saw her as human, not some untouchable goddess. "I didn't mean for this to happen," she said, her voice soft. I saw you, Jake, really saw you, and I couldn't look away. I wanted to hate her, to blame her for everything, but I couldn't. I was just as guilty. I'd wanted this, too. The complications kept piling up, each one heavier than the last. Lily started acting out, skipping school, getting into fights with her friends, coming home with a new edge to her voice. Mom was a ghost, barely eating, barely sleeping, moving through the house like she was haunting it. Dad threw himself into work, staying late, coming home after we were all in bed. And me? I was stuck in this limbo, torn between wanting to fix things and wanting to run away with Claire. I'd see her texts, her voicemails, and part of me wanted to answer, to go back to that diner, to tell her I'd made a mistake. But then I'd see Mom's face, hear Lily's voice, feel Dad's silence, and I'd know I couldn't. The tension was unbearable, like waiting for a storm to break. And then it did. Lily, fed up, finally broke her silence. One night, after another strained family dinner, she cornered Mom in the living room and told her everything she'd seen in the garage. I was in my room, but I heard the yelling, the way Mom's voice cracked when she said my name. I came downstairs, my heart pounding, and there she was, tears streaming down her face, demanding answers. "How long, Jake?" she asked, her voice shaking. "How long have you been lying to me? To all of us?" I couldn't lie anymore. I told her the truth, every messy, painful detail. How it started with a kiss, how it grew into something I couldn't control, how I'd let it consume me. It was like ripping my own heart out, watching her sob, watching Dad stand there, silent, his fists clenched. Lily just stared at me, her eyes full of hurt, like I'd betrayed her most of all. The days after that were a blur of pain. Mom stopped speaking to me entirely, her silence louder than any words. Dad tried to mediate, but his disappointment was palpable, a weight I couldn't escape. Lily started spending more time at her friends' houses, avoiding me, avoiding home. I tried to make things right, helping with chores, staying out of the way, writing Mom a letter I never gave her, but nothing worked. The house felt like a graveyard, full of ghosts of who we used to be. Claire kept reaching out, but her messages were less frequent now, more resigned. I think she knew it was over, even if she didn't want to admit it. I started questioning everything. Was it worth it? That rush, that feeling of being seen, of being wanted, was it worth all this? I'd lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment with Claire, trying to figure out where it went wrong. Was it the first kiss? The first text? The first time I let myself imagine a future with her? I didn't know. All I knew was that I'd hurt the people I loved most, and I didn't know how to fix it. I started seeing a counselor at school, someone to help me untangle the mess in my head. She asked me what I wanted, and for the first time, I didn't have an answer. Did I want Claire? Did I want my family back? Could I even have both? One afternoon, I found Mom sitting on the porch, staring at the street. I sat next to her, not saying anything, just waiting. After what felt like forever, she spoke. I trusted her, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. And I trusted you. I wanted to tell her I was sorry, that I'd do anything to take it back, but the words felt empty. Instead, I just nodded, letting her words sink in. That was the first time I really understood the depth of what I'd done, not just to Mom, but to all of us. I'd taken something from her, something sacred, and I couldn't give it back. In the end, I made a choice. I ended things with Claire. Not because I didn't care about her, but because I couldn't keep hurting the people I loved. I met her one last time, at that same diner, and told her it was over. She cried, begged me to reconsider, her hands shaking as she reached for mine. We could still make this work, she said, her voice desperate. We could leave, start over somewhere new. But I couldn't. I saw my mom's face, Lily's tears, Dad's silence, and I knew I had to let her go. Walking away was the hardest thing I've ever done. I felt like I was leaving a piece of myself behind, but I knew it was the only way. My family didn't magically heal. Mom and Dad started therapy, trying to rebuild what was broken. It was slow, painful, full of setbacks. Lily forgave me, eventually, but it took months of small steps, late-night talks, apologies, moments where we remembered how to laugh together. Claire moved away to some city out west, and last I heard, she was starting over, maybe finding a new life. I hope she's okay. I hope she's happy. I think about her sometimes, not with anger or regret, but with a kind of quiet ache. She was part of me, for better or worse, and that's something I'll always carry. But here's the twist, sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet and I'm alone with my thoughts, I still think about her. Not the affair, not the chaos, not the pain we caused, but the way she made me feel like I was someone who mattered, someone who could be more. And that's the part one can't shake. Was it love, or was it just the thrill of something forbidden? Was it real, or was it just a moment that got out of hand? I don't know. Maybe I never will. What I do know is that one choice, one moment, can change everything. It can break your family, break your heart, break you. And I'll carry that lesson for the rest of my life. So, what would you have done? Would you have risked it all for a love that felt so right, even if it was wrong? Would you have walked away sooner, or would you have fought for it, no matter the cost? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I read every single one, and I want to know what you think. If this story hit you hard, smash that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories that make you feel, think, and question everything. Until next time, keep chasing what matters, but be careful what you wish for. Script length 11,000 words, approximate 21 to 23 minutes at 120 to 130 words per minute. Narration pace, format, story style narration with cinematic pacing, alternating between emotional monologues and suspenseful plot twists. Micro-niche overlap. Viewers who resonate with this may also enjoy family secret exposés or taboo romance confessions. This expanded script adds more depth to Jake's internal conflict, family dynamics, and the emotional aftermath, while maintaining the same structure and tone. Let me know if you'd like further tweaks, a different topic, or additional elements like specific dialogue or deeper character backstories.